Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and a Patriotic Shaker Box finishing tutorial. This is for the Scarlett House Patriotic Shaker Box stitch, and I stitched the piece that goes on the LaHaye's shaker box. The box I ordered directly from LaHaye's, and I will put a link to their website down below if you have this pattern. It tells you exactly what size you need and all of that. So to start, I actually took the box, and I'm showing you here that I took the box, not the lid, and I traced the box shape with a pencil on freezer paper, and I'm going to cut it out. Now, I did realize it was probably going to be a little bit big, but I need the shape of the lid of the box to use as a template for my stitch. Now, once I have that, I am actually going to, I was trying to hold it in place and use my studio lights, or you can use a window or a light box, but I'm going to pin it in place so that I can gauge how big it is. And I knew it was probably a little bigger than I needed, but I needed that basic shape to get started. So see how when I place it on the lid, it almost goes out to the edge, maybe 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I think we need to cut off about 1/4 inch, so 1/8 of an inch all the way around the perimeter of this to make it the right size. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my ruler and a pencil, and I am going to go around the entire template, and I am going to make little marks, little dash lines, so that I can then use those to cut around my template. Basically what you're doing is you're creating that template so that you can cut your mat board or sticky board. You can cut your, I'm going to go ahead and use some batting. I'm going to use warm and white quilt batting underneath my stitch, etc. because I want my finish to be this really pretty oval shape of this LaHaye's shaker box. You can use the same technique if you are trying to do a finish on whatever you are wanting to put the finish on, any kind of box, etc. This one is a little bit more nuanced, I suppose, than some, simply because it is a shaped finish and not a square or a rectangle. But don't let that scare you. It does not have to be hard. So I am again just going around about 1/8 of an inch all the way around my oval, and then I'm simply going to trim this down. Now, I'm not going to immediately take that then to my mat board or my stitch and just start cutting. I think it's best, you know the rule, if you're a quilter, measure twice, cut once. So I am going to, when I'm finished with this and I trim it down, I'm going to again place it on the back of my stitch. I'm going to hold it up to the light. I'm going to make sure it's the right size. I really don't think I can go much smaller than this. You're going to lose something at the top and the bottom of the stitch. And so I'm trying to keep this as nice as possible. I'm going all the way around. Don't use your good ribbon or fabric scissors for cutting your freezer paper or your mat board for that matter. I have scissors that I use specifically for that, and we're just going to cut the shape out. So again, I'm going to take my pen. I'm going to hold it up to the light. Everything looks good. I'm going to take the lid of my box. I'm going to double check that, make sure that it fits well on there. And then I'm going to take my mat board, or in this case, I'm using some sticky board. That's what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. And using my template, I'm going to trace around this shape. And I'm going to try to do, you know, a nice size. I always kind of hate when I have to cut my own in a circular shape, when I cannot use my cutting board for a square or a rectangle. But don't let that deter you. I'm going to grab my Tim Holtz scissors here. I will link these down below too, and I am going to just slowly cut around this. Now, it may be a little rougher than what you would get with a nice rotary cutter, but I'm going to show you how to kind of combat that with cutting our batting a little bit bigger, and I'm also going to smooth the edges with my scissors when I am finished. You could also sand the edges, but I was being super duper lazy. So I am just going to kind of smooth them up. I was pretty happy with how this cut though. I felt like it cut really, really well. And I just made sure and took my time cutting this out. All of the prep things are really, really important. Okay, that looks pretty good. I am just going to open up my scissors and I am gently just kind of trying to get some of those rough edges off from cutting it. And it will kind of peel up a little bit, but again, it's okay. Okay, now I have some quilt batting, and I just have scrap quilt batting, usually left over from quilts that I throw in a drawer, and I am cutting this a little bigger. Now, I found that holding it, I was having a hard time getting it, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to peel off the sticky side since I'm using the sticky board, or you could use the double-sided tape to hold it in place, and now I'm just going to cut just outside of the mat board shape, just outside of it. So it's not exactly the same size, just barely, barely bigger. Because when we wrap our linen around it, we want it to kind of pull the batting down the sides. Then I'm going to use this as my guide. And when I kind of have it centered close enough, it doesn't have to be perfect right now, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to use this air erasable pen. You can use any other kind of pen. This line won't show. And about 1 inch to 1.25 inches out from the shape, I have drawn my line, and I'm going to cut this out and just cut away the excess. I don't need loads and loads of excess fabric kind of hindering the gathering and lacing process. Now, something super important to this project is everything I'm doing is going to be able to be removed. I am not using hot glue. I'm not using liquid adhesive. We are going to be lacing this piece, which if we ever want to redo it, we can. We're going to be creating some cording, and well, I created it off camera, but I'm going to be stitching the cording to my piece. I'm not gluing it in place. And then I'm also going to just use adhesive, a nice strong adhesive, but I'm going to use adhesive to place this on top of my box, because if I ever want to remove it, hot glue would potentially ruin my box and be messy. I don't want to hot glue it. So I'll show you that here in a little bit. Okay, I'm going around the perimeter of the whole shape now, this oval shape, and we're doing this nice little running stitch. I like to use this upholstery thread. I know you've seen me use this in many, many videos. I almost use this exclusively for anything like this. Anytime I'm doing lacing, usually I'm using this. It's strong. It's strong. I'm not going to accidentally break it. So I'm going to go around, and it's just pretty much like a circular shape. The only thing is along the sides, it's not going to be gathered quite as much, because unlike a circular shape, we aren't really gathering it up uniformly. That's the word I'm looking for. So I'm just going to pull this, and when I get back to where I start, I am going to secure this. One tip I would really like to encourage everyone is, if you are lacing a circle or an oval or anything, once you have gone around and gathered it, kind of turn it over. Make sure you like where your piece is. Here's a good opportunity to kind of move things around, whatnot, a little bit, and then knot it. Knot it before you ever start lacing. So I noticed that I kind of had it pulled a little bit. So now I'm going to hold it in place. I'm going to go through my little loop a couple times and pull that tight. Okay, now that I have this, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to smooth. We're going to smooth, and it doesn't look perfect quite yet, because that's where the lacing is going to come in. We have gathered it to get it secure. I'm going to show you how it's going to look. Oh, you guys, I'm so excited to get this on my box. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I am going to use the upholstery thread I have left over, and I am going to lace. Go back and forth across, and I've kind of ended, not quite to the middle, but close. And I'm going to go ahead and lace out to that one end, and I am pulling pretty taut here. I'm going to double check it as I'm going, but when I run out of upholstery thread, I am then going to knot it. So when I get over here, and this is where it really tightens it up and makes it look good. So now I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to get myself a little loop. I'm going to go through it twice, pull tight, and snip that. Then I'm going to get another length of upholstery thread, thread up my needle, and we are going to lace all the way across this way. I am also going to lace lengthwise. I suggest the lacing, and just try lacing. The more you do it, I do think the better you get. It's really just like anything. You get better at it the more you do it. But what I love is if I ever wanted to change this finish, or maybe I want to take this off of the box someday. You know, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of shares of people switching up their old finishes, you know, from where they started, and they've learned other things and they want to try other things. Potentially this could be sewn into a small pillow at some point if I wanted to, you know, whatever. I don't foresee me changing this, but I like to have that option. And obviously when you sew something together, you can always pick it out. Yeah, is it a pain? Does it take a little bit? Yes. But I like to think of my hard finishes in the same way. I do not want to do things anymore where I cannot change it if I don't want to. So when I get that, I am to the other end. I'm just going to snip that off. I didn't really have enough to start going the other way. If you did, again, I would suggest knotting it and then going back the other way. But before I start the other way, you'll notice I'm being pretty aggressive and I'm smoothing. I'm smoothing out. I'm making sure that it's as centered as I can possibly get it. All of those things. If there are any little areas around the edges that I don't think I love, it's not going to matter, you guys, because I am putting a trim on this. I'm using cording today, and the cording does really help disguise maybe any imperfections in that outer perimeter, no matter what kind of finish you're doing. I always think it kind of just cleans up those edges beautifully. I don't think it would even necessarily need it. You could buy a pre-made finishing. You could use a Lady Dot finishing product here if you wanted to, if you don't want to make cording. There's a lot of things you can do. So I'm going the other direction now. And again, I am pulling very taut. And I kind of started in the middle here. And I kind of finished that side. So I'm just going to feed it underneath. And we're going to finish here on the other. It's a lot less stitches or lacing going vertically, let's call it. It's going to be horizontal though when we put it on the box. The long way. We're going to go with that, the long way. But it's important to lace all of it both directions, I think. So when I'm done, again, little knot, tie it, and snip it. Okay. Our lacing is complete, guys. So again, I'm going to just kind of smooth around the edges like so. Look at that. How beautiful is this Patriotic Shaker Box going to be? I love this so much. This only took me a little bit one evening. I want to say maybe an hour and a half total to make. And I actually messed up. I made this cording first and I don't love it. I don't love it on this color of box. I left it in here to show you this two-tone cording. I do love it for Patriotic. I'm going to use it on something this year, and it's really thick too. So I actually went and made some white cording. This is one full skein of 3865 DMC floss. I love a good white cording. Not going to lie. White cording is like a go-to almost always. And I love, love, love how this looks. So what we're doing is I'm holding the cording in place, and then I kind of want to see how I'm going to stitch, because I want my piece of white thread. I'm using one strand of embroidery floss, and I always like to just coordinate it back to whatever I used for the cording. But what I like here is I want that thread to kind of follow the cording. So fall in between each of those twists, basically. And I'm catching a little bit of the linen along the edge, wrapping around. We're couching the cording in place around the perimeter. This is what I do for pillows. This is what I do for hard finishes, obviously, like this right here. I have glued it in place for some projects, but I have found in my journey that attaching my trims this way is my preference. If I ever change my mind, or I'm like, oh, I just don't really like that border or that trim anymore, I want to do chenille, or I do want to do a two-tone cording, or I don't want cording at all, or there's a jute twine that I want to wrap around this. I don't know, whatever. Then I could easily take some nice sharp embroidery snips. All you have to do is snip in a couple of places, and as soon as it's loosened, you're going to easily be able to remove this from your project without damaging your stitch. And I think that if I can impress anything, is it's worth the little bit of extra time it takes to hand stitch. I really, in my heart, believe that. There is nothing wrong with gluing. There isn't. I think the only drawback truly, well, there's two drawbacks. One, I'm messy. I find that I'm a little messy with my glue. And so I am a lot more comfortable with this because I'm not worried that I'm going to get glue on my stitches. Number two, if you ever want to change it, and I know that I'm a broken record in this video, but I think as floss tube viewers, we all know and have seen many of our favorite floss tubers talking about redoing old finishes. And this kind of finish makes it a lot easier. I still want this to be quote unquote permanent. So I'm stitching it in place. And I also think I have a lot better luck making it look nice doing it this way. But I do know that I could always take it off. Maybe I take it off of the box. I do another oval. I finish the oval with fabric on the back, and we put a little hanger on it, and it could be a wall hanging. There are so many different things you can do here with your finishing, and I just want to encourage you to give it a try. We take hours and hours stitching our pieces. In the big scheme of things, the finishing doesn't take near as long. And hopefully by sharing some more of these videos, especially maybe through Patreon, where there's some nice exclusive type of finishing things, or on my channel as I share more finishing videos, my goal is just to encourage you to try finishing. You get better at it the more you do it, just like anything. Okay, I started another little length of embroidery floss here. I'm just going to snip that from the knot off. I don't want that accidentally hanging out. And we're going to finish stitching around. Now, I was very aware when I started this that I wanted to, where I wanted to start and end. Make sure you have a very definite idea for that. You could just go ahead and attach your cording all the way around. You could kind of disguise, maybe tuck the ends underneath the finished piece, overlap them a little bit, and then tuck the ends underneath if you want it to be nice and seamless. I have talked about this quite a bit. I love a good tassel. I love a good tassel hanging from mine. So what I ended up doing was leaving a little bit of cording tails and cutting off the tassels. I even think, and I may redo this, I haven't decided, and I wouldn't have to take it off to redo it. But if I did a knot closer to where they meet at the bottom of the piece, and then leave the tassels hanging down, it could almost be like one tassel, which would be, and leave a long tassel-y tail. There's so many ways to do tassels. I am a huge fan of them. I'm really into them lately, and I just tend to kind of go with it. I feel like this in my card making and in my cross stitch finishing. So you'll have to let me know if watching this process helps you, if me talking it through helps you. My goal is to do some more of these types of finishing videos. You may have stitches, even if it's not the exact one. Maybe it's something similar, or you're gonna you get a little box those paper mache boxes at Hobby Lobby or your craft store in either a circle or an oval or whatever, or even a square. And maybe this will help you in your finishing. Okay, I'm going to overlap kind of in the center there, and I'm going to secure it. I wrapped around. I'm going to knot it here on the back and just make sure it's nice and secure. Just like that. I don't want to pull too hard. I did not use the upholstery floss for this step because I really like my my stitching for any cording or trims to disguise. Okay. Oh, guys, look how good this looks. Okay. We are so close to being done. Final couple things. So first thing, I want to make those tassels. So I want to figure out, I don't want them to hang too far, but the box is fairly tall, maybe 4 inches. I don't know. So I'm going to tie my cording ends in a little knot like so. If I wanted to tie them up higher, I could even have like 2 longer tassels. Then I'm going to cut about 1 inch away from my knot. Now I'm going to double check it. And then I use a dry toothbrush. If you have seen any of my other videos where I kind of quote unquote comb out the tassel, I always have a dry toothbrush, one that's never been used for teeth or cleaning. And then I brush out those tassel ends, and that's what makes the tassel look so nice. And I'm going to just brush those out really, really good. And I'm going to double check it with my box, see how I like that. And then we are going to attach this to our box with stitchery tape. Now, I was out of actual stitchery tape. I know, I could not believe it, but I had to finish this. I was already this close. I do have these finishing circles from Fat Quarter Shop. I also get my stitchery tape from Fat Quarter Shop. I'm going to link both of them down below for you guys. But I just decided, you know what? I'm going to use plenty of these on the back of my piece, because ultimately you can get this off if you need to. If I ever needed to pull this off, I would probably use this product called Undo, because it won't damage the box when you go to lift up the adhesive. So what I'm going to do now is I just went around the perimeter with these. They are very sticky, but again, they're not permanent. You can get them off your fabric if you need to, unlike hot glue. And I'm just using the tip of my needle, but you can also use like a paper piercing tool, the tip of some sharp scissors. You may need to clean your scissors when you're done, because some of that sticky does tend to, or your needle tends to get on there. But I am just peeling this off. And I bet you I could have got away with just 4 of them, but I did want to make sure that it was stuck down all the way around. That's why I went ahead and added 8 of them. And once I have them up and off, we're going to center this on our box lid and just press it down in place. And that is it, friends. That is going to be it for our box. I kept it very nice and simple, just the nice little cording trim and tassels. Absolutely beautiful. I know my box lid is on backwards. It needs to all line up. I will fix that. You can display it like this, like on the cover of the chart if you want to, but it's absolutely beautiful and so, so fun. I hope you've enjoyed this video featuring the Patriotic Shaker Box tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure like the video, subscribe to my channel, thumbs up, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new floss tube, stitching, or quilting video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.